It's raining and it's awesome. Alright, story time. So I am very happy with this rain and I'm gonna tell you why. Some of you have maybe been wondering why we've been working so hard to get my rain barrel system working, my water tower. And it is it is working. It's doing awesome, it's collecting rainwater, and I cannot be happier. I mean, you maybe cannot hear it on camera, it's very quiet, but I can hear it, and rainwater is going from my rain gutter into the system, and it's collecting. So cool. Now, in 2018 was a very, very dry year for Sweden. Nice and dry underneath here. 2018 was so dry that we had a lot of forest fires. You can look it up, you can Google it. There are news clippings that I believe Denmark sent 44 fire trucks to Sweden because we had so many forest fires here in Sweden. Now, one of those days in 2018, I was driving back home from work. And oh, it's cold out here, I'm shaking, I'm going back inside. Now, one of those days in 2018, I was driving back home. And when I got close to home, I saw a lot of fire trucks. And after, seeing those fire trucks, I got home, talked to my parents, and they said, yes, there's a forest fire close. So I went back to those fire trucks. The firemen were on a intersection talking to each other. They were discussing something. And I went to one of those firemen and I asked them, hey, should we be worried? Or is everything going to be okay? What's the deal with the forest fire? And he said, well, where's your house? And I said, my house is over there. And then I didn't get the answer I wanted. He told me, yeah, you probably want to pack your important things and some bags into your car, just in case. And that scared us. That's not the answer you want. So he kept talking and he said, you don't have to evacuate yet, but just pack your important things and pack your car and only start leaving once we contact you. But we will tell you in time if something needs to be done. And that was quite scary. So I went back to my parents. I told them that they also need to start packing. And then I went to my own house over here. And I also started packing my stuff. Now, once I was done packing, I couldn't in good conscience keep this information to myself. So I hopped on my ATV, which I still had back then, and I drove to all our neighbors. I drove from neighbor to neighbor to neighbor and telling them about the forest fire and what the fire department said to us. Luckily, we never had to evacuate. The fire came within a kilometer of our houses, which was quite scary, but it wasn't dangerous yet. But that was quite a scare. Now, in a forest fire, one of these is not going to do anything. This is not enough during a forest fire. But instead, in my house, I've got one of these. This is something preppers will know. This is a go bag. This has everything that is important to me. It's got all my diplomas, important papers of ownership of the house, and some basic things like a water flask, some money, anything I need to just pick this bag and leave. That way I have everything with me that I need to, be homeless for a while. Because if my house is about to burn down, I can just have this and I'll be okay. I mean, I still have a burnt down house, but that bag gets me a good and easy start with all the information I need. Some people say one of these bags is overkill, it's not necessary, but then I ask those people, why are you preparing with a fire extinguisher? You do that for a what if situation. What if there's a fire? That's why you have a fire extinguisher. Now, since this entire house is made out of wood, what if there's a fire means this house is burning down, especially if there's a forest fire. So, my second what if is, what if the fire is so big I can't use this, so I need this. Now, luckily, as you can see, and like I just told you, the forest fire never got close enough to burn my house down. It's still here, I'm still living here, and very happy with that. But 2018 gave us lots more challenges than just that forest fire, because it was so dry, lots of people around here ran out of water. As you can see, I live in the Swedish countryside. And along this road there are several people with houses that have got their own water wells, because there is no communal water out here. We don't have pipelines going through the ground delivering water to us. Nobody that lives within 15 kilometers of where I live has got water lines going to their house. So instead, people have their own water wells. Here we have my water well. This one was drilled by these guys. Now, my water well was drilled by a big machine, and they drilled 80 meters deep or 75 meters deep into the mountain my house is built on. We're actually at an altitude of 250 meters here, but they had to drill into rock before they hit water. So my house was built in 1881, and back then it didn't have a water well. I had to hire this company to get my water well drilled. Now, lots of people that live around here, like my parents for instance, have a water well that was dug. People had to dig out that water well. Of course, digging 81 meters deep is very challenging. So most people, their water wells were not 81 meters deep, because it's just too much work. And lots of the time they hit water before that. But when they had a dry year, like 2018, their hand-dug wells ran out of water. Some of my neighbors had that problem. Some of them live in that direction, and they had no choice to find other sources of water because their own well ran dry. And I have once in my life been denied water. We were in France. Me and my parents were on a bicycle vacation, and we had run out of water. So we stopped at somebody's house that was working in their garden and actually watering their plants. And we asked, showing our water bottles, can we have some water? And they said no. And that was so ridiculous to us. We were on a bicycle in a warm country in the middle of the mountains, and this person is not giving us water while he's giving water to his plants? Water is one of the main things people need to stay alive. So from that moment on, I decided I will never, ever deny anybody drinking water. I will always give somebody drinking water if they ask for it. So I offered those neighbors my water. And of course my neighbors gladly said yes. I mean, I would too. So what they did, they would back up their car all the way up here, and then next to this hose they would fill up about 5 jerry cans with water. I believe they had 80 liters of water with them every time they came by. They came by every other day. So actually they were not using that much water, because the average person uses 100 liters of water per day. That's included drinking, showering, washing clothing, washing the dishes, preparing food, all that kind of stuff. This is not a number I came up with. This is a number I looked up online. The average person uses about 100 liters of water per day. They were two people and they used 80 liters in 2 days. So they were doing good. They didn't use more water than they needed. But it was scary because their water had run out and more people in the neighborhood stopped having water to use. Now, there was another neighbor in that direction, and she also at some point ran out of water, and I was also providing her with water from my house. So this well, that is 80 to 75 meters deep, was providing 3 households with water. And that was scary because I didn't know if mine was gonna run out. Luckily, my water never ran out, and everybody got to live their lives living off of my water. In that year of 2018, they also had a ban on watering plants. You weren't allowed to water your plants in your garden. It didn't matter if those were plants that you just have because they're pretty, like flowers and stuff. It didn't matter if they were plants that were food, like a greenhouse with tomatoes or anything. You weren't allowed to water them because of a big water crisis in the country. So that's a lot of the reasons why I'm so happy with this thing. When the winter was over this year, 2023, they warned us that this summer was going to be just as bad as 2018. So with a water system like this, every time it rains, I get free water. And I think that's quite important. Now, rainwater isn't drinkable as as my well water is, but I do have a water filter. And we'll talk about that water filter in a bit. But I can use this water to water my plants instead of my well water, which is taking up, precious drinking water. So this will make sure that my well lasts longer whenever there's a drought. Now, here is my little Sawyer water filter that I bought for myself to go hiking. And this thing is awesome. It doesn't weigh anything. I can just drop it in my backpack, and I have drinking water every time I'm close to a lake, a river, a little puddle of water on the road. This filters 99% of anything that's in the water. Meaning, if my water well ever runs dry, or the electricity cuts out and my water pump can't get the water up out of the well, the combination of these two still gives me drinking water. Of course, that only works as long as I've got water in this thing, because if the drought is long enough that the water in that thing drains as well, then I got a bigger problem. But then I can still go to a lake or a river and filter water that way. Yeah, that's the story of 2018, when it was very warm in Sweden. We had a very long drought. We had forest fires. People needed each other's help to be able to drink water. And I provided 2 other households of drinking water. And lessons like that makes you want to have systems like this. We also have figured out that I can connect the gardening hose to this guy and connect it all the way to that guy. Here behind my little greenhouse, I've got a 1,000-liter tank for water. And the water tower is actually tall enough to run the hose all the way into this lid and fill this tank with the water that's in the water tower. So in total, I am looking at about 1,800 liters of stored water. We're still not sure how much water this holds, but we put in 700 liters of water, and then the top barrel was still empty. So I think it holds like 800, maybe 1,000. We're not sure, but we're gonna have a lot of water with this system and that tank combined. So keep in mind, people, water is more precious than you realize when you live in a city and you just open the tap and water comes running down. When you live in the countryside, far away from any city or village, like I do, or like you maybe want to do if you want to move to Sweden, you need to provide for yourself. You can't just rely on the energy network, these little energy cables that are running through the air right here, to keep working so that my water pump will always pump water out of my well. As you saw a couple of vlogs ago, I had 2 trees that were almost falling on these electrical cables. Now, I'm a responsible person and I took care of that. But there's also people that aren't responsible and won't take care of that, which means I won't have electricity to get my water. So keep that in mind. I hope this story helps you in your future. I hope this story helps you realize how valuable water actually is. And I hope it keeps raining this year, because this year was very dry up till now, and we can definitely use more rain, because I don't want my beautiful house to burn down. All right. Thank you for listening to my story, and see you all in the next vlog. Bye. Please like and subscribe. And if you want to support us or just want something that Lihao has made, you can buy this little notebook, Look for Stars. The links are in the description, all on Amazon, and you can buy them. See, you can make some beautiful notes in there. The video that just popped up, that one is, according to YouTube, something you will like. So try looking at that one. See you all later. Bye.